good evening and welcome to the Voices of Future Generations Children's Story Building webinar. My name is Shama Noman and today I'll be presenting to you our last and final webinar, Building Vocabulary. As always, we shall start our webinar with our thinking question. And the thinking question for today is, why is vocabulary critical to your story's success? Let me begin by saying that a person with a rich vocabulary is definitely a very able thinker, a very capable decision maker. And if you look at it this way, what do words do for you? So words are actually a means for people to understand you. So words give meaning to your expression. Words give meaning to your ideas, to your emotions. They help translate what you're feeling. So the right choice of words can help you, express yourself really well with people. And in a way, we can say that, vocabulary is your key to understanding the world around you. We can now start our presentation, and I'd like to share our very first slide, which is talking about the benefits of improved vocabulary. So I cannot stress enough on the fact that, vocabulary holds a key role in your reading comprehension. So when you want to understand the message in a story or the idea in a text, or you want to understand the wisdom shared in a book, then you need to engage your thinking skills. And thinking is directly connected to your grasp of vocabulary. So the richer your vocabulary, the better chances that you're going to understand the story text. Now, which is why your teachers keep pushing you to read more stories, because, reading stories is going to help build your vocabulary. Now, as you read, you gather some ideas, based on your understanding of the words that have been used. But surely you come across new words that, you need to investigate, you need to explore, because if you are a thinking child, you never ignore a new word and move on, because it annoys you not to understand what you're reading. So if you want to have complete grasp of what you're reading and be able to interpret the text well, then you really need to understand the importance of building your vocabulary. Now, when we talk about learning doesn't just come from books. It also comes from talking to people or having a conversation with somebody. So clearly, an improved vocabulary also promises improved empathy. Now, if we want to understand each other as people, if we want to understand others, if we want to be understood ourselves, then we need the support of words to express ourselves. Express ourselves with clarity, which means say exactly what we mean to say. Now, this is an interesting and an important aspect of vocabulary building, because the person who tends to be a good thinker is a person who understands human emotion really well. So, inside you might be feeling, horrible, but if you want to express that feeling and you don't have that intensity, you cannot express that intensity of your emotion with the right word, then you won't be able to clearly express yourself. So having the key word there, having the exact word to replicate the exact emotion that you're feeling is in a way a real promising thing for you to be able to express yourself authentically. And that is key there. When you want people to not misunderstand you, and when you want people to not perceive you differently, then you have to express yourself using the right words or the relevant words. You become knowledgeable, which means you become an informed conversationalist. Of course, having knowledge gives you confidence to have put up your argument and put up your ideas. Think critically. Of course, this is a skill that goes with people who are able to look beyond the obvious, or the people who are able to interpret beyond the literal meaning. So this is, again, owing to a rich vocabulary, because you have a set of words, you can decode the meaning better, in what you're reading, and you're able to express that meaning in different ways. So you can look at something that you've read and present different kinds of perspectives, rather than just taking it on face value or whatever is written there in a very literal sense. So an improved vocabulary definitely helps you become a critical thinker. Become effective communicators. Now, what this means is that you're somebody who is able to hold a conversation, who's able to put forward your point of view, and you're able to persuade people, to believe what you say. And that is a skill that comes when you have a word bank where you understand word connotation. So word connotation means words have a literal meaning, and then of course words can have a positive or a negative feel to them. So if you're somebody who has a rich vocabulary, then you're able to choose your words wisely and present your argument wisely. At times you might want to present your argument sarcastically. At times you might want to use something in a comic sense. You might put a very empathetic view forward. So words support your emotion, words support your point of view. Words are, intelligent choice of words can help you become a very persuasive speaker. And finally, of course, it helps impress people. Of course, if you are a confident presenter, if you're somebody who understands the impact that words can have on people, then you are somebody who can easily, win in situations where you need to get the point of view, get approval, or your point of view get attention. So improved vocabulary is definitely your key to becoming successful as a reader, as a writer, as a thinker. Well, now that we understand the importance of vocabulary, let's look at how we can expand our vocabulary. Now, the first and foremost requirement, of course, is that you become a regular reader. Now, when I say you become a regular reader, it means that, reading should not just be limited to books. You could be reading the newspaper, you could be reading magazine articles, you could be looking at comics, brochures, even supermarket labels, and maybe the menu at the restaurant. People who have a hunger to improve their vocabulary will find words all around them. And that's the kind of explorer you need to become. Now, when you find a new word, you need to befriend a dictionary or a thesaurus. They should be your best friends. And now with online learning, of course, these things are available at the tip of your finger. So when you find out a new word, you want to learn more about it. So you create a journal which has a list of all the new words that you're learning. Make it like a habit to find a new word every day. So you could do the word of the day kind of an activity. And then, of course, play fun games to investigate those words. Word study is extremely important. As you can see on the screen here, there is a vocabulary spinner. Spinners can so easily be created. These templates are also available on Google Images, so you could get them from there as well. So the moment you find a new word, you can use the spinner there to, try to spell it, define it. Like I said, find synonyms, antonyms. You could illustrate the word. You could use it in a sentence. And if you're doing it as a family activity, it would be fun to do role play as well. So engaging with the word is what is going to make you knowledgeable about the word. If you read a word, come across a new word, and you find the meaning for the word, but then don't write it anywhere, don't engage with it, and move on, the next time you're going to come across that word again, you will not remember how you used it or what it means. So it's really important to engage with the word at so many different levels that you become completely comfortable with it and can begin to understand its different connotations. Okay, now that we have stressed on the importance of building vocabulary, we can start off with playing a few games and doing a few activities. Because remember, building vocabulary doesn't have to be a boring thing. It can be a lot of fun. Now, what I'm going to start off with is on the importance of listening to conversations. When two people are having a conversation, it's always fun to listen to the kind of vocabulary that they use. And if you come across something new, of course, your journal should be out and you should be writing it in. So I'm going to play a little conversation with you, which is between two people talking about the environment. And what I want you to do is keep a paper and a pencil with you and give me all the technical or scientific language that has been used, as well as any emotive language that might have been used. Now, what is the difference between scientific and technical language and emotive language? Well, scientific and technical language has to do more with the kind of terms or the formulas or the symbols or the technical language that people use when they are discussing a certain topic. For example, if you were writing about space, your technical or scientific language might, describe asteroids. You might use the galaxy way, the universe, the stars, the Milky Way. This would be your scientific or technical terms that you use. However, when it comes to emotive language, that's where you use mostly adjectives or abstract nouns or verbs. So adjectives such as wonderful, fabulous, magical, or when you use abstract nouns, you might be talking about justice, you might be talking about freedom, you might be talking about pride. And of course, verbs such as saved, build, adored, all of these evoke a certain emotion in the reader. So emotive, coming from the word emotion, is going to strike some kind of a feeling inside the reader. So a successful piece of writing not just passes on information to you or a message to you, but it also evokes the reader's emotion. So now I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can listen to the conversation. And remember, you have to list out the scientific as well as the emotive language. Okay, so let's listen up.
I think when we're thinking about the environment as a topic, we tend to think about pollution and that sort of thing. And then a secondary sort of thought, maybe the one that comes second, or the effect of that is the effect that we see on animals and their environment. I think we think about our environment first, and then we think about the environment of animals, and the one has a massive effect on the other, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, there's many extinct species, many species in danger of extinction right now, and we're focusing more on, we focus more on global warming and things like that for our future generations, like you said, for our children and our grandchildren and things like that, without thinking about all the animals that are endangered.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you think about the rainforest being destroyed, there's sort of two elements to that. There's the fact that we're losing all of these plants, and that has a negative effect on the planet as a whole in terms of oxygen and all that kind of thing. But there's also the fact that, destroying these huge bits of forest means that we're destroying the habitat of so many animals.
Well, actually, some conservation groups now are taking animals into captivity to protect them.
Yeah.
And there's some, I don't know which ones, but some sort of rare species of cats and orangutans and things like that have been taken into captivity to allow them to breed and to stop them being killed by, loggers, people cutting down the rainforests.
And it's unbelievable how quickly it's happened. When you watch documentaries or whatever about animals and what's happening to their habitat, that I watched one about tigers, and the way that the number of animals had decreased. When you looked at the time scale, it was recent years that it just gone down so dramatically.
Now that was some thought-provoking, conversation happening there. And I don't know about you, but I picked up some words, some scientific lingo there. For me, I picked up words like conservation, habitat, rainforest, loggers, endangered species, pollution, extinct. There were lots of words that were technical there. And then, of course, there was some emotive language as well. For example, massive, protect, unbelievable, future generation, destroyed, losing, negative. There were some words there that, had an impact on the, on the emotion. So hopefully this kind of an activity is going to help you understand that, listening to conversations is also something that you can do as a vigilant listener. Remember, there's a difference between hearing and listening. If you're just hearing a conversation, you're not going to be focusing. But if you're listening to a conversation, you'll always find some new words. So from now onwards, become an active listener. Our next game is also a lot of fun. Of course, you know that our competition revolves around the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and children's rights. And so there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, as mentioned on the slide here. But for your story writing, you can pick any one or two goals that you really care about. So how do you learn about these goals? How do you build vocabulary around the Sustainable Development Goals? Well, here I'd like to share with you a little game that's posted on our Instagram. So let's hope that I can put up the screen here. So let me share my screen with you and share the Instagram game with you. I'm sure that you all must have a fidget spinner at home. So let's see.
To play this game, you will need to download and print an SDG goals template, which is easily available on Google Images. Next, you need to cut a little pointer out, which you're going to place on top of your fidget spinner, which I'm sure all of you have at home, and it's going to help you do the magic. Once we have all these three items ready, make sure you cut out the template and place your widget spinner in the center of your SDG card. Give it a little push to make sure that it has free flow. You can point the pointer on top of your widget spinner and give it a little spin. As the spinner stops at a goal, ask the players to share their understanding of their goal. While they speak, list out all keywords that come through their conversation. Have fun building your SDG vocabulary.
So that's like a fun game that you can play. I'm just going to go back and stop sharing the screen. So that's like a fun vocabulary game that you can create around the SDGs. So of course, if you have members in the family, if you've got friends, if you have a group visiting together, you could play this game and each one could pick a goal that's close to their heart. And of course, when people speak about why they care about that goal, when you have a conversation, again, bring out that journal and add in the new words that you learn. You can separate them as scientific, as emotive, and then engage both in your story writing to ensure that your reader gets a complete experience. This next game is also a lot of fun because it's called Rock and Roll Vocabulary. Now, again, we are expecting you to be creative because the process of vocabulary building is supposed to be a fun process. It's not supposed to be heavy, okay? So in this game, you can play it with any number of players, of course, but what you need to do before you start playing is choose a goal. And then for that goal, you can create a set of cards as I have created here. So every player can create a set of cards, and of course, the inspiration can come from one of the goals. Also, for the game, you'd have to construct a little dice like this one. And of course, you can get instructions on Google for this. And all you need to do is really create a vocab card as the one that's shown in the slide here with different kinds of instructions. And of course, you can keep changing the instructions as you tend to become more creative with how you want to engage the vocabulary words there. So you could define the word, you could draw it, you could make a list of synonyms. What does the word remind you of? Use the word in a sentence or make a list of antonyms, which are opposites, of course. So creating a vocabulary card and then rolling the dice. And let's say that the dice falls on 3. Then on 3, the instruction is to make a list of synonyms. So what each player does is pick a card from one of the opponents and dares to follow the instruction on the card and define it or draw it or do different things with the word. As a result, all of you tend to learn more about each other's goals, you pick up more vocabulary, and it's done in a really fun way. Read my mind. Now, in this game, you need to list out your vocabulary words and put the list in the center. Then, of course, this can be played within, a group or a family as well. What you need to do is you need to write a few words on a piece of paper, and then in your mind, you have to select one word as your favorite word. And now the rest of the team has to guess which word have you chosen. All right. Now they have to read your mind, but of course you need to give them a few clues. So the clues are here on the slide. You could give them the number of syllables in the word. You could give them the meaning of the prefix used or the suffix used. You could give them an antonym for the word. You could give them a synonym. You could tell them what is the root word for that word, or you could give them a rhyming word. So by giving them 3 clues, they are supposed to guess the word that you have selected. So in this case, if I give you the clues of the word that I've selected in my mind, I would tell you it has 3 syllables. The prefix that's used in the word means back or again, and the antonym, the opposite of that word, is lose. So I'm leaving this to you to figure out the word that I chose in my mind. This slide is simply to share with you the different resources which are now available for you to build your vocabulary. I'm sure that as kids, you are way ahead of our times and you already know so many others. So there are some links shared there, kids. You can go there, you can practice vocabulary. Apart from that, of course, if you're a fan of board games, then you've got Scrabble, Pictionary, Charades, Taboo, Bingo, Hangman, Boggles. There's Quizlet, where you can learn new words. So like I said, engage with the vocabulary, because if you're not going to engage with the new words that you learn, you're not going to remember them, okay? I'm going to leave you with a fun challenge. So challenge yourself with creating the SDG word web, okay? What you need to do for this challenge is select an SDG goal that you really care about. For example, if you choose the goal no hunger, then you're going to put it in the center of your page, and then you're going to create a list of words. Of course, I'm going to expect some scientific language, some emotive language, and what you can do is you can differentiate by putting the maybe emotive words in red and the scientific language in blue, just to make it colorful. And challenge yourself by creating a word web where you're using words but also engaging words that you've just learned. So I wish you the best of luck with building your vocabulary. It's something that takes time. So if you start making it a part of your life now, it's going to become a lifelong skill. Well, I hope that you enjoyed today's session, and just know that these webinar sessions are now available on our YouTube channel. So if you ever need any tips and strategies, you can always go back to these videos. And of course, I want to wish you the best of luck for Cycle 2. If your story gets shortlisted, then you'd probably become a part of our Cycle 2 anthology. The children who are part of the anthology are ones who really took advice on board, wrote a fantastic story, and got their names published. So if you want to become a published author, then put your heart and mind into your writing, and know that, the 21st of March is our deadline for submissions on our website. Wish you the best of luck, kids. Bye-bye.